Welcome into Cougar Tracks here on KSLSports.com and KSL NewsRadio, your legacy home of the BYU Cougars. Mitch Harper here with you, and we're getting ready for BYU versus Stanford. Cougs and Cardinal kick off 8:15 Mountain, 7:15 Pacific time on KSL NewsRadio and ESPN. And joining us now to give an insider look into Stanford is Ben Parker with Cardinal Sports Report, part of On 3 Rivals. And Ben, we followed each other for a long time on X, as we were discussed before we hopped on, but never had a formal interview conversation. So looking forward to getting to know Stanford with you.
Yeah, no, this is gonna be great. It's always fun to kind of meet people, I guess, technically not face to face, but through Zoom. But yeah, it's great to meet new people and have new conversations. And yeah, I can't wait.
This Stanford Cardinal team, 0-1 after week 0, and they had a bye week. What was your assessment, Ben, of how things played out in Hawaii, and can this thing turn around at all under interim coach Frank Reich?
Yeah, the Hawaii game was terrible, particularly the quarterback position. The overall game itself, there was things they could take from it that were positive. Ford rushed for over 100 yards. He had his first career rushing touchdown. That was really good. Running back Cedric Irvin, Cole Tab, they did a good job. Offensive line looked improved. The defensive line actually did really well. Cole Patterson had a really good day, despite the fact that he kind of had a mistake with that TikTok dance that went viral and cost him 15 yards and a long TFL. But there were things that went well overall for the team. But it was just a stark reminder of how important quarterback play is. And 6-year quarterback Ben Gulbranson had a disastrous day. Disastrous enough that a lot of fans are kind of wondering whether or not how long his leash is, or at what point they might switch to quarterback. So I think for Stanford. I think there were a lot of positives they could take from the game, but they need the quarterback play to step up if they want to have an improved season. And then as far as the Frank Reich piece is, I mean, he's really close to Andrew Luck. He's got a lot of NFL experience. The team, I think, is hopeful that under his leadership for the season, that they can kind of get some of the bad taste out of their mouth from the 2 years they had under Troy Taylor and the end of the Shaw years, and kind of go into this next off season with a little bit of hope and optimism for a brighter future. So,
is there a chance, Ben, that there is a quarterback change at all this week in game potentially? I know that Gulbranson, Dr. Ben's listed atop the depth chart this week, but do you think there's a chance there could be a change potentially in game if it goes south again?
yeah, it's possible. The Dr. Ben reference, for those that don't know, Gulbranson's planning on going to medical school after the season, so that's cool. But that's where the Dr. Ben reference comes from. But no, listen, they're not gonna. I mean, I tried to get at this during Monday's conference with Reich. He didn't say. I perhaps could have been more direct on the questioning, but I don't think he'd have answered it anyway. That all was standing. I do think there's a possibility, um, because at the end of the day, they want to win games this year, and if your quarterback really plays bad for a second straight week, I don't know how it cannot be. So no, I think it's certainly possible, but I think their hope certainly, is that Branson rights the ship. And if it were to make a change, I should add this, it would be Elijah Brown. He's in between the depth chart. That's the presumed no, that's the presumed option that they would roll with.
With some
Freshman,
of the
freshman.
with some of the struggles at quarterback, does it make it maybe difficult for Cardinal fans to see now on the opposite side is Bear Bachmeier, guy that was there for the spring quarter?
Yeah, no, certainly. Some of my subscribers have mentioned that if they were to lose to BYU on Saturday with Bear Bachmeier opposite, particularly if he played well, against them, yeah, that would certainly sting. Um, yeah, no question about it. I think the other thing is sort of like on the quarterback. This is my feeling, is if you're gonna roll with a 6-year veteran guy, like he really better play well. Otherwise, you might as well at least go with a youth movement and develop somebody. So, but yeah, it would sting for sure for them if Bachmeier performed well against them.
This is hard to probably forecast because I mean it's a hypothetical. But do you think Bear would have won that job at coming had he stayed at Stanford?
Um, no, and
Hmm.
I don't. I mean, I don't know. I get the sense that the reason that Ben Goldbronson is the starter right now, I'll answer it in two ways. I think that if Bachmeier were still there, Goldbranson would probably still be the starter just because I think the reason he won the job was because of his experience. He supposedly has done a good job of like leading the offense, showing command in the huddle, those kind of things, looking making all the appropriate checks and reads and stuff. And it would make sense, right? He's a 6-year quarterback, so you would expect that guy to look better than a true freshman um, in those areas. But having said that, given the way he has struggled and the fact that there is a possibility for a change, is there a possibility that if Goldbranson were to continue to perform poorly and Bachmeier were still here, that he might be the backup and might be second in line to start? Absolutely, no question about it. So I think going into this week, I think that, Bachmeier would have likely been the backup, but might he have been the number two quarterback, or might he have been the guy who would he have gotten an opportunity this season to start? Very, very possible. Certainly.
Talking with Ben Parker of Cardinal Sports Report. You can see his bylines at Cardinal Sports Report, part of the On Three Rivals network. And I'm curious, Ben, will we see Scotty Edwards playing in action? He didn't play in that Hawaii game in week 0, and I bring him up because he's got local ties. Olympus High School, Salt Lake City. He spoke with the media this week, and he's on the depth chart. So are we going to see Scotty Edwards making that homecoming of sorts, going back to BYU?
Yeah, I think we should. First of all, shout out to Olympus High School. My buddy from my buddy Elliot Bullock played basketball there. He ended up playing at Stanford, and then my LDS mission trainer, actually, John Varner, shout out, Olympus High grad. So played football and basketball for them, was really good. So, but back to Edwards. Yeah, I mean, he should play. He spoke to the media yesterday, and my understanding was he was just held out of the Hawaii game kind of for precautionary reasons.
Hmm.
So, yeah, he absolutely should be a go. It'd be very, very surprising if he weren't a go, particularly since he spoke to the media yesterday. They don't have guys speak to the media. I'm sure BYU is the same way. You
Yeah.
don't have guys speak to the media that are iffy going into the game. So he should be fine.
Ben, you probably know this better than anyone that covers Stanford, but Stanford's had a lot of success recruiting LDS players and guys from the state of
Yeah.
Utah over the years. Is that still going to be the trend, you think, going forward with Andrew Luck and his regime, or is it going to be just focusing more national and try to get guys wherever you can in this era of being in a national conference like Stanford's in the ACC?
Yeah, I think that they're gonna. I mean, I think first of all, for those that kind of don't understand kind of why the LDS thing kind of happened, well, it's kind of funny because I know that a few years back, uh, Stanford men's basketball team was recruiting. I can't remember who was it. It's not important. There was one of this. He ended up going to Utah. I'm blanking on his name, but he ended up playing for Utah. Really good. He was a really good center from a couple years back, and they were trying to kind of sell him on, hey, like, we've kind of had like LDS, success here. And for basketball, it's pretty much just been Mark Madsen and Nick Robinson, those two. That's kind of it. But for football, there's actually been, as you mentioned, a lot of LDS guys that have come through there. And the reason for that was because former defensive coordinator Lance Anderson, who's now the head coach at Utah Tech, um, is a member of the church, and so that really kind of helped them recruit guys. As far from the state of Utah and guys that are LDS, as far as whether or not that trend will continue, I do think that just Stanford's strong academic background, I think, and the location and weather and all those things, and also proximity to Utah, still make them a very attractive destination for LDS kids. A lot of kids that end up going to BYU are kids that take their academics really seriously and try to get good grades and are good kids and all that stuff, and kind of check off a lot of the boxes Stanford's looking for. And Stanford's one of the very few schools, if maybe the only school, that's had any success consistently getting kids out of Utah. So I think that trend will continue. The other thing I was going to mention too is that recruiting director Preston Pearson. I know that he has spent a lot of time in Utah. I believe he grew up there, so he's got ties there, and that's something that could help them. So yeah, I think that trend will continue. but certainly with the departure of Anderson now a few years in the rearview mirror at least, it's fair to wonder how long they'll be able to if they'll be able to keep it to the same level as was before. But no, I expect them to continue to keep the LDS pipeline coming.
I think that center you were talking about, Brandon Carlson, I believe. I think
Yes, yes,
that's the name.
that's
Yeah.
Brandon Carlson. They took him on a tour of the Institute, and they were kind of like, "Yo, we've had like LDS players here," and it was like for basketball, it's just been Mark Madsen
Yeah.
and Nick Robinson. But he's a really really nice kid. His parents are really nice people, and so, but yeah, Brandon Carlson, that was the guy. Yeah.
A few more moments here with Ben Parker of Cardinal Sports Report on the field for the Stanford team heading into Saturday night. Ben, what is the strength position wise? You can focus on maybe the starters, but just the best positions on this team.
Yeah, right off the bat, running back. The running back unit is really, really deep. They have a really, really good running back room. Micah Ford, the lead back, is really good, powerful, physical runner. And the other two running backs that we saw against Hawaii, junior Cedric Irvin and sophomore Cole Tab, both looked really good. So I think running back's a major strength of theirs. I think tight end in theory ought to be good. Sam Roush is one of the stars of the team. Now he had 3 receptions for 6 yards against Hawaii, so it was a bad outing for him, or like not a productive outing at all. But they're expecting him to be a major part of the team. He represented the team at ACC Media Day as a senior and all that. So you got him and also some other also tight ends like Chico Holt, Benji Blackburn. So the tight end unit's strong. And then I think the linebacker unit as a whole is pretty good. They got some good outside edge rushers like Teva Tafudi, Wifrida Ibar. Inside linebacker group is solid. Guys like Zach Johnson and Bo Tate and Hunter Barth, these guys, and Josiah Galvin, these guys. So there's like, I mean, actually, the defense has got a lot of pieces. Yeah. And then also secondary too. You mentioned Scotty Edwards, but safeties Jay Green and Mitch Lieber are really solid, are really good. And then cornerback Colin Wright, who's kind of the other kind of major star of this team. If you're playing with Stanford on the NCAA video game, he might be your highest rated player, Colin Wright, and he was out for the Hawaii game. He'll be back. So yeah, those are kind of the main groups where I think.
And then on the flip side, maybe the positions that are the weakest right now heading into week 2.
Yeah, quarterback, obviously, that's a big question mark. The other position group too that I think is a little dodgy question marky is the if that's a word question marky, the wide receiver unit. So CJ Williams is a transfer from Wisconsin, came in with a lot of hype. He was a big time recruit out of high school, out of modern day high school. But they didn't do a whole. Now, part of it was quarterback play, but also like they could have done better to get themselves open. So wide receiver group, I don't want to say they're a weak spot, but they're kind of more of a mysterious group. You just don't know what you got yet in those guys. CJ Williams, Caden High, transfer from CJ Williams, a transfer from Wisconsin, and then Caden High, a transfer from South Carolina State. So guys that are eager to prove themselves, but haven't yet really shown what they can do as a unit. So wide receiver unit, I wouldn't necessarily say is a weak spot, but it's certainly a question mark. They have to prove themselves.
Last thing for you, Ben, if Stanford pulls off the upset, how's the game going to look? How's it going to play out if Stanford's going to pull this thing off?
Yeah, if Stanford pulls off the game, it will be because they won the turnover battle. It's that simple. In other words, if Gulbranson is able to take care of the ball, not turn it over, they're able to establish the run, and then if they're also able to force some turnover. So, like if Colin Wright gets an interception, for example, or if Scotty Edwards on a safety blitz, gets a strip sack or something, or Clay Patterson gets a strip sack or major TFL and turnover on downs and doesn't do a stupid dance after, like that kind of thing, right?
Mm.
Like so basically, like they can win the turnover battle, force some turnovers, that and control time of possession, like that's how it's going to happen. So.
Well, one more thing, and also the time of possession, too. I mean, they had 4 drives, more than 10 plays. Do you think that's going to play a role in this, too, if Stanford has a chance to take down BYU?
Yeah, I think they're gonna just really try to hope that they can get a lot out of that run game and chew up a lot of clock, and then just get good enough quarterback play. Because I think one of the challenges, as those that know football, you obviously know this, is you don't want to run the ball all the time just because then teams will just stack the box against you. So what got them in trouble was they were trying to on that last interception that really that turned the game against them. Uh, they went with a pass play because they were trying to keep Hawaii on their toes and not always go, because Micah Ford was like really kind of I guess you could say exerting his will and dominance over the Hawaii defense, but Stanford decided, and they weren't trying to get too cute or anything. It was just trying to like with mix it up, go the pass play. So no, I think that the hope is establish the run, have another 100-yard game from Ford, and then just have the passing game do its job. So
He's Ben Parker. You can follow him on Cardinal Sports Report, part of On Three Rivals, does an excellent job covering the Stanford Cardinal, his bylines, and you'll be there in Provo inside the press box. So looking forward to seeing you at the game, Ben, and looking forward to your coverage this weekend.
Appreciate it, Mitch. Thank you so much.
That's Ben Parker. Great stuff from Ben breaking down the Stanford Cardinal, and that will do it for this edition of Cougar Tracks. I'll be back tomorrow with more breakdown of BYU and Stanford and the latest in BYU sports, all right here on the KSL Sports YouTube, KSL News Radio, and KSLSports.com.